All right, everyone. Welcome back to another Python object-oriented programming video. In this video, we're going to be looking at encapsulation and looking at setter and getter in Python object-oriented programming. Encapsulation is the concept of hiding data or information hiding in object-oriented programming. So basically, what we use encapsulations to avoid methods and attributes to be accessed, changed, or even called outside of the scope of a class. And then we're going to talk about setters and getters, where we get to really just control how our attributes are behaving within our custom classes that we're creating. And I just want to show you a little interesting class that I have here. It's called class member. Each member object is going to have a name and account number associated with them, and those are our attributes. And we made it printable by overriding the string. As you notice here, I have a member1 variable, which is a member object, and I've given my name and a account number 1. But if you notice, I can actually update the attributes of member1 maliciously by changing my name and even changing my account number like so. So if I were to execute my code, rather than getting 1:park as I programmed in my string, we are getting number 69 of poo poo. Okay. So, a member should be able to change their name. So that's a valid way to update someone's attribute, but we'll be learning how to control that. But an account number seems very like a private thing that it shouldn't be accessible that easily or even change that easily. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to try to first do encapsulation. We're going to hide this attribute. And we're going to start off very easily by saying that, well, our self.account, and we're going to be using double underscore. We use double underscore to do encapsulation in Python when you're doing object-oriented programming, and we're going to be assigning it like so. Okay. And now if I were to say that, well, I need to also change this. Now, if I were to try to get what my account name is, say that member1 account like that, I want us to see what my account number is. We'll know that, well, it has no attributes account, even though we do have it set, and it was set all right here. And just to show you an example of that, I'm going to print my member first. It's going to be able to output that we have 1. It's set to poo poo, but we're not able to access the account attribute because we're getting this error message here. That's because we have hidden this attribute to be only accessible within our scope of our class. Okay. Now, if you wanted it within your class to have it behave so that we can just access it like this, we can do some special thing by using a @property tag. So for our account number, what we're going to do is @property, because it would be nice to just see this value but not change it. So we're going to say @property, and we're going to say def account self, and it's going to return self.account. Okay, like that. So that we can actually just be able to just see what it is but not modify it. Okay, so let's try that. Oh yeah, it has to be .account and .acc like that. Clear. So we will be able to access the account number, what the value is, but we won't be able to modify it in this scenario. And we're saying that we have a property belonging to our class member called ACC. And so if we were to run that, we were able to get the account number, but we won't be able to modify it because we're just returning the set value. Okay. And for encapsulated variables like this or attributes like this, you can also create a hidden encapsulated setter method. So we can say that set account like so, and we can say self.value, and we can write some simple conditional statements to make sure that the value that we're getting and setting it up on the account is valid by saying, well, if its instance value is a type of an integer, then we can say we're going to return the value. Otherwise, we're going to raise a value error, and we can say that f value is not an integer. So, okay. So instead of running this code here, we can say that, hey, we're going to say self, use the set account method that we created within our class member, and we're going to provide the account number right there so that we don't have to do any error checking within our initialization method, but rather we can control it by another method that we have created. And if you notice, we don't need to access it by this double underscore account anymore, because we have now coded that we are able to grab the ACC attribute and just see what it is by using the add property symbol right there. So now if I were to now run my code, everything works as well. But if I were to say this is hello world, we're going to get an interesting error, because it's going to say that hello world is not an integer. We're not allowed to assign the account number as some other data type that is net type integer. So we must assign it to 1, and like so. All right. Now this seems a little malicious. Maybe you wanted to have a way to return our attributes nicely and set them in a controlled way so that they can't just put anything they want when they do an equal sign outside of the class scope. And we're going to see what that looks like by using a setter and getter. So technically this is an example of a getter for the account number attribute, and what we're going to do is code a name getter and setter as well. So let's say we're going to get a name getter and a name setter. And what we're going to do is the following. So to get the name attribute, we're going to do the same thing. Since it's a property that belongs to our class member, we're going to use the property tag, and then we're going to use the same attribute name as our getter method, and we're going to just provide self, and all you have to do is return self name. Now the thing is, in Python we can't have our method of the name and the method of the attribute collide. So we're actually going to change our attribute within our initialization method just to have 1 underscore instead of 2. 2 is encapsulating. 1 is what we call just a private attribute that you can create. So this is a private variable in some sense, and we're going to return self underscore name like so. So it's able to reference an attribute that we have created in the initialization method. All right. And now let's create our setter. What we're going to do is that we're going to say anytime someone wants to run this, we're going to be able to control how we get to assign it with the value given. So we're going to say at name, this is the property that we have, and we're going to be creating a setter. So we just have to say the attribute that we have dot setter, and then we're going to use the exact same method name, but we're going to take self and assigned value. Value. The reason I called it an assigned value is that because we are saying, hey, we have this name, we're going to be assigning, we're going to be running the equal symbol with the value on the right. So I'm calling whatever we're given assigned value. And then we can say that, well, we will say that self name will be, let's say, assigned value. We will make it all lowercase like that. Right, we'll get all the assigned values and we'll make sure it's all lowercase so that we have a nice little special cleaned up name. If you want, we can also do replace all the spaces with nothing, so we can actually run some like string cleaning or even string operations if you wanted to when you run a setter. So let's say in this example I had m space r dot that, and it was all capitalized. So if I were to run this code now, lower, it's actually called lower, right? We get to make their name as Mr. Sorry, and we can have park like that. Right. Oh, we didn't save. And we get 1 is Mr.Park instead of having Jasper.Park, and it was able to actually enact all these string operations, string methods that we can use from the assigned value, which is targeted here. Okay, so that's how we can use getters and setters in our program, and they're very important because let's say, for example, if I were to comment out this code and not provide a setter for this property that we this attribute that we have created, this code should not work properly. It says can't set attribute because we call that we have a name attribute. And right now we've only defined that there's a getter. It is now a attribute that can't be modified from the outside. So that's another way to protect our attributes as well. But if you turn this back on, our code should work properly, changing my name from Jasper Park to Mr. Park, all lowercase without any spaces in between. Okay, so that was just a quick little video on talking about encapsulations and how we can set setters and getters into your custom classes that you create following some sort of this type of guideline. Okay, and as always, thank you for watching and stay classy.